The billionaire had just signed the papers that would erase his son's luxurious life. Before sunrise, private jets, sports cars, and unlimited money would be gone. For the next 6 months, his only home would be a broken farmhouse owned by the poorest farmer the billionaire had ever known. Even the family's lawyers thought he had gone too far. But the billionaire only said one thing. If his son came back the same person, he would never inherit the company. That decision shocked everyone because the billionaire had spent 40 years building one of the largest agricultural equipment companies in the country. He had started as a mechanic repairing old tractors before inventing machines that helped small farmers harvest more food with less work. His business grew into a global empire. But while he built factories and created jobs, he gave his only son everything money could buy: elite schools, luxury vacations, endless credit cards. Every mistake was cleaned up by expensive lawyers or assistants. Success had been earned by the father, but simply handed to the son. Everything changed during a company charity event. The billionaire's son was supposed to present a program that donated tractors to struggling farmers. Instead, he secretly turned the event into a social media stunt. He laughed at old equipment, mocked the farmers' clothes, and ordered the donated tractors to be repainted in flashy colors just for better photos before sending them back. The delay ruined planting season for dozens of families. One elderly farmer lost nearly his entire crop waiting. The video went viral. Investors were angry. Employees were embarrassed. But what broke the father's trust was something worse. His son refused to apologize because he believed poor people should simply work harder. The billionaire knew punishment alone would change nothing. Prison wasn't deserved. Expensive schools had already failed. Then he remembered someone he had met years earlier. The farmer's name was Samuel. 20 years before, when the billionaire was still struggling, Samuel had found him sleeping inside a broken truck after losing nearly everything. Samuel had shared his last bag of maize, offered him a place to sleep, and refused any payment. Later, when the billionaire became successful, he offered Samuel land, money, and a comfortable job. Samuel accepted only enough to repair his leaking roof. He wanted to earn the rest himself. Years of drought, medical bills, and failed harvests slowly pushed Samuel into poverty anyway. He never blamed anyone. He simply kept planting. The billionaire believed there was only one person whose life could teach what money never had. Samuel almost refused. He disliked rich families and worried the young man would destroy what little he had left. But after thinking for several days, he accepted for one reason. If a spoiled heir someday controlled the machines thousands of farmers depended on, then changing one young man might help countless families. The first week was a disaster. The son woke before sunrise and complained every hour. His hands blistered from carrying water. The farmhouse had no air conditioning. Chickens escaped because he forgot to close a gate. He wasted precious seed by planting too deep. Every mistake created more work for everyone else. Samuel lost his temper more than once. He was patient with honest effort, but had no patience for excuses. If the young man skipped a chore, Samuel skipped dinner until the work was finished. Not as punishment, simply because unfinished work meant unfinished meals. For the first time in his life, the son discovered that nature did not care about family wealth. Then something unexpected happened. A violent storm destroyed half the crops. The son assumed they would simply buy new seed. Samuel quietly opened an old wooden box that contained every coin he had saved for years. It still wasn't enough. That night, the son couldn't sleep. He had spent more money on one watch than Samuel had saved in years. The next morning, without being asked, he worked longer than everyone else. It wasn't enough to erase months of selfishness, but it was the first crack in the person he used to be. Weeks later, another surprise arrived. The billionaire had secretly instructed everyone nearby not to give his son special treatment. Nobody offered shortcuts. Nobody revealed his identity unless necessary. He was just another worker. For the first time, people judged him only by his actions. Some still disliked him. Others slowly began trusting him. That trust felt strangely more valuable than expensive compliments. Then came the hardest challenge. Samuel's granddaughter became seriously ill. The nearest hospital required money Samuel simply didn't have. The son secretly reached for his phone to call his father's private helicopter. Then he remembered the agreement. If he used family influence, the test would end immediately. He stood frozen. Walk away and obey the rules, or break them to save a child. He chose a third option. He rode through neighboring villages, asking farmers for help. Many had little, but each family contributed something: fuel, cash, food, a truck. Within hours, strangers had created enough to get the little girl to the hospital. She survived. The son realized something he had never understood inside luxury homes. Real wealth was people willing to stand beside you when they had almost nothing themselves. Months passed. His hands became rough. His complaints disappeared. He fixed broken fences before anyone asked. He learned every worker's name. He even began improving old farming tools, using ideas borrowed from his father's machines. Samuel noticed the change, but stayed cautious. People could pretend for months. Character revealed itself only when nobody was watching. Then the final test arrived without warning. The billionaire visited the farm disguised as an ordinary customer looking to buy Samuel's remaining harvest. He deliberately offered far less than it was worth. Months earlier, the son would have encouraged Samuel to accept anything. Instead, he calmly refused the unfair deal. Not with anger, not because he knew his father was watching, because he had finally understood the value of honest work. He even suggested a fair price that benefited both sides instead of squeezing every possible dollar from a struggling farmer. That single moment told the billionaire everything. The test was over. When the son returned home, the mansion felt different, not because it had changed, because he had. He sold most of his luxury cars and invested the money into programs that helped small farmers repair equipment at low cost. He insisted company executives spend time working in the fields before making decisions. Employees, who once mocked him, slowly began respecting him because his actions stayed consistent long after the headlines disappeared. The billionaire stepped back from daily leadership years earlier than planned. This time, he trusted the future. Samuel's life changed too. The billionaire finally accepted that charity alone was not what Samuel wanted. Instead of giving him endless money, he offered him something better. Samuel became the company's senior advisor for farmer relations. He traveled to villages, teaching better farming methods, while helping engineers design machines that real farmers actually needed. His income became steady, but he still lived in the same simple farmhouse because that was where he felt most at peace. People often asked the billionaire if sending his son away had been worth the risk. He always gave the same answer. Money had built an empire. Hardship had built an heir. And the greatest inheritance a parent can leave is not wealth, but the character to use it wisely.